All around the world, you'll find animals exactly where you expect them to be. Most fish are found underwater, most desert animals are found in the desert, and forest animals are found in the forest. Most animals are perfectly adapted to their natural habitat, and they would struggle to live in a different ecosystem. This is why certain animals are only found in certain biomes, and it's easy to guess what animals are found in a certain habitat. In today's video, I will be focusing on animals that stand out, as I will be taking a look at certain species that look like they're in the wrong place. Certain animals inhabit environments that you wouldn't expect them to, and some animals are the only ones of their kind to inhabit the environment that they do. Without further ado, we can take a look at our first species, and to find it, we will be heading over to Lake Baikal. Lake Baikal is a rift lake in Russia, and it is one of the largest freshwater lakes in the world. This lake is slightly larger than Belgium, and it's the world's 7th largest lake by surface area. It's the 2nd largest lake in Eurasia after the Caspian Sea, but as it's also the deepest lake in the world, it's the world's largest freshwater lake by volume. This lake is home to thousands of plant and animal species, and a lot of these species can't be found anywhere else in the world. There are many large arthropods and sponges, and of course there are also plenty of fish. It's not unusual to find all of these animals in such a large lake, but one animal that really stands out is the Lake Baikal seal. This seal also goes by the name of Nerpa, and it's in the same genus as the Caspian seal and the ringed seal. The Nerpa is one of the smallest true seals in the world, and it's the world's only exclusively freshwater pinniped. They are endemic to Lake Baikal, and they have an estimated population of around 80,000 to 100,000 animals. These animals max out at around 1.65 meters long, and they can weigh up to 130 kilograms. Most individuals are a lot smaller than this, but they are still pretty big for a lake animal. It's still a bit of a mystery as to how these animals got to Lake Baikal, as some believe that they swam upriver, whereas others believe that Lake Baikal was once connected to the ocean. Even though these animals are found in healthy numbers today, this wasn't always the case. They were hunted relentlessly for their fur in the 1970s, but thankfully today more protections have been put in place. Their numbers have increased dramatically since the year 2000, and they are currently listed as least concern. In Lake Baikal, they have plenty of fish to feed on, but the majority of their diet is made up of 2 species. It's estimated that these seals eat around 64,000 tons of these fish each year, and they make up around 90% of their diet. Because these seals are found in freshwater, you may assume that their lives are carefree, because they don't have to deal with many of the saltwater predators. This is partly true as they are safe in the water, but instead their danger walks on land. One of the Nerpa's only known predators is the brown bear, so really the safest place for the Nerpa is in the water. At first, it may seem very strange to see a seal in a lake, but as Lake Baikal is so large, it almost functions in the same way as a small ocean. It's so large that it can support a very round and cute pinniped, and I think it's fair to say that the Nerpa is one of the most distinctive seals in the world. For our next inclusion on this list, we will be heading over to New Zealand, and instead of focusing on one species, I will be focusing on quite a few. For millions of years, New Zealand's landscapes have been dominated by birds, and this is why New Zealand has so many endemic species. Many of New Zealand's most famous birds are flightless birds, and the birds that we will be focusing on fit into this category. There are 18 penguin species alive today, and 13 of these species have been spotted in New Zealand at some point in time, but some of these birds are very rare visitors. When most people think of penguins, they think of Antarctica, and this is because many of the most iconic penguin species are found in the harshest environments. Of course, not all penguin species are found in freezing environments, as some prefer the tropical life. Some species, such as the African penguin and the Galapagos penguin, are found in very warm climates, and they found a way to deal with the heat. Although it's shocking for some to see penguins in this environment, most animal lovers are aware of these species, and their tropical beach lifestyles are not that surprising. This is where the penguins of New Zealand come in, as quite a few species have turned to the forests. In New Zealand, if you're lucky, you can witness some species of penguin venturing inland. They have carved out their own paths and walkways, and they even seem to have small meeting places. Not all of the penguin species in New Zealand are known to do this, but many of the crested penguins and the yellow-eyed penguins are some that do. Of course, these penguins do not spend all of their time in the forests, because just like most other penguin species, they do find their food in the ocean. They mostly venture into forests when they want to lay their eggs, and of course they guard their eggs once they are laid. If these penguins were to repeat this behaviour in a different country, it's very likely that it wouldn't end well. One of the reasons that the penguins do this in New Zealand is because New Zealand has very few land predators, and most of the danger for the penguins comes from the skies. If they did this in most other countries, they would be picked off by predators, and this is why New Zealand is so important to these birds. Unfortunately, in some areas, invasive species have started to threaten these birds, and this is why the government tries so hard to combat them. Hopefully New Zealand can get rid of its invasive predators in the future, because it really is quite amazing to see these birds in the forests. For our final species, we will be heading over to Europe, as we will be taking a look at the rose-ringed parakeet. The rose-ringed parakeet is a medium-sized parrot, and it's in the same genus as many other colourful birds. Because of its colourful coloration, you may assume that it's from a warm climate, and this is mostly true as they are native to Africa and the Indian subcontinent. In the wild, they mostly feed on fruits, nuts, berries, seeds, and vegetables, and in some areas across their range they are viewed as a pest. If you were to see this bird in its natural habitat, it wouldn't really stand out, but it would stand out if you saw it in Europe. These birds have a very healthy population in Europe, and they can be found in 10 different countries. The Netherlands and the UK have the largest populations, and it really is strange to see these birds so far north. It's believed that many of these animals were escaped pets, or that many of them escaped from zoos. Unlike many other tropical birds that would not survive in Europe, the rose-ringed parakeet thrived. They multiplied at an astonishing rate, and now it looks like they're in Europe for good. It really looks like these birds are on course for world domination, as there are also introduced populations in Japan and New Zealand. This bird's superpower is its adaptability, and even though it may look out of place in colder climates, it's able to survive and multiply. Their numbers have got so large in some areas that they threaten native species, such as in Europe where they threaten native bats. They compete with the bats both for nesting sites and space, and they will attack and kill the bats if they meet them. This is why some people believe that their numbers should be controlled in Europe, but as their population is so large, this is going to be a very hard thing to do. If you think there are any other animals that could have made it into this video, then let me know down in the comments below. But for now, thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.